Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show. And now, here's Jeff Crilley.
Well, I got to tell you, I've interviewed Hollywood stars, pop stars in music. I've interviewed presidents, and I'm nervous right now. I'm nervous because Paul Spiegelman is my guest. He is a best-selling author, and paulspiegelman.com is his website. Paul, welcome to the show.
Great to be with you, Jeff.
Okay, and listen to that voice. I would kill for that voice. So one of the reasons I'm intimidated is that Paul is just a brilliant man. He really is a brilliant man with a servant's heart, and he has really changed the business world when it comes to workplace culture. He's the author of 3 best-selling books, and he did it in an environment that you would not expect to find a happy workplace. So, Paul, I'll let you kind of explain that.
Well, Jeff, I actually started a business many years ago now, in '85, with my 2 brothers. And essentially, we were in the call center business. So when you think of a call center, you think of the boiler room operation, the low morale, high attrition, commodity-style business. And one decision we made early on is that we didn't want to be that type of business. We wanted to create an environment in which people loved what they did every day, and we could create value and charge that. So I think it's probably the values that we were brought up with our parents that said, always be nice, never burn a bridge, treat people with respect, and found out that that's not all the way businesses are run. And so we try to do it a little differently, and culture ultimately became the secret sauce of our business.
And now you didn't like wake up one morning and say, I'm going to be a workplace culture expert, but you kind of it kind of evolved. Tell everybody about your first book.
Yeah, my first book is Why Is Everyone Smiling, and really came from the idea that people would come to our business, they'd walk around, and at the end of it, they'd always say to me, gosh, everybody seems so happy. Why is that? And I said, well, I don't know, ask them. And people would ask me when we developed that as really a concept or something that would be important to our business. And we really didn't. It was quite unconscious. But we ultimately realized that creating that type of environment was not just the right thing to do. It was good for business. And if we could create a relationship that ultimately we called the circle of growth, it was going to help our business grow. And so ultimately our philosophy is if we first and foremost focus on our employees and gain their loyalty, that's going to drive our customer loyalty. If our customers are loyal, that's going to drive profitability into our business. And the message to our employees is that we're going to take that profit, invest it back in you, giving you better tools and resources to do your job. And the cycle simply continues.
And it led to the second book that your employees actually wrote.
Yeah, they really wanted to get involved. So we had 20 different employees that participated in authoring this book, which is kind of a field guide. Because there's many people, employers, leaders who say, I get that. I just don't know how to do it. And so what we did is we worked with all the employees to write that book so people could step by step understand how to build a business focused on culture.
Well, I had the privilege of being in your office when the book came off the presses, and I handed it to you, and you went to give it to an employee, and I just remember, even to this day, just her hugging you, and she was just so touched. That's part of the culture you created.
Well, I think culture really is about leadership, and if we teach leaders that it's okay to get out of their comfort zone and to focus not just on the business and the strategy and the financials, but let the people drive the business. And if we simply show them that we care about them on a day-to-day basis in the totality of their lives, then you are going to create an environment where there's going to be a lot of hugging because that's loyalty and that's trust that you develop by showing people you care about them.
Okay, what was the third book?
The third book was called Patience Comes Second, which is kind of a controversial title. Our call center was focused in the healthcare industry, so we were taking calls for people calling in looking for doctors or moms signing up for Lamaze classes, or here in DFW, if you see these commercials that say Baylor saved my life or these big billboards, well, those calls are actually handled by my former company, Beryl Health. And so that's really the business we were in. We were in the healthcare business, but we worked on what I call PAL, or 3 things that I think are most important to people that are in any company, large or small. One is that we want to feel like that there's a purpose, that we're here beyond just the job. We want to find a way to connect to that purpose. Second is we want to be appreciated. We want to feel like we're valued for the work we do. And third is that we want to feel like there's an opportunity to learn and grow. And if as leaders we take our time to do that, and the financials will come and the business will continue to grow.
You're also with an incredible organization called Small Giants. Talk about that.
Well, I read a book about 10 years ago called Small Giants, Companies That Choose to Be Great Instead of Big. The author's name is Bo Burlingham. And I was so inspired by that because it was about small companies that had something very unique and special that helped them grow over a period of time. And culture was a big part of that. And I reached out to Bo, the author, who didn't know me, and wrote him a blind email. He ended up writing a foreword for my first book, which was so nice. And over a couple of years, we talked about the idea that there were many business leaders that felt this way, and we wanted to learn and grow together and develop a peer group. So the Small Giants community is essentially a peer group of CEOs who believe in purpose and values-driven business, that if we focus on our core values and we learn and grow together, we're going to make the world a better place. And I find that particularly with millennials in this day and age, they want to make a difference. Mm-hmm. Money is important, but they want to help society. And if we're going to keep our employees and keep them loyal, then I think these philosophies really work. And the Small Giants community is a way to build those practices and institutionalize them in your organization.
Well, I like to say that you were workplace culture before workplace culture was cool, because when you were writing the books and establishing the workplace culture at Barrel, the millennials were still babies or at least teenagers, and now they're in the workplace and they're really demanding a work-life balance and a happiness. So talk about how important that is to the survival of a company in 2017.
You know, I think it's critical. Some people are a little bit cynical about millennials, saying, well, they don't stick around in jobs, they'll move around a lot. I think that's great. I think that they're looking for something special, and that raises the bar for employers and companies to say, what are we going to do to keep them and keep them loyal? And it really is around those things that I was talking about. And back to leadership, we have this old-style leadership that I call command and control, where leaders can come in direct and tell you what to do. That's simply not working anymore. People want to be involved. They want it to be much more collaborative. So you see large companies that we've all heard of, like Whole Foods and Container Store based here and Southwest Airlines, that have this employee focus. And what happens is not only do they retain loyalty, but they're much more financially successful than their peers. So I certainly didn't invent this concept, nor did I see this trend of workplace culture becoming what it is today. But I'm very happy that the younger generation of people that are going into the workplace are looking for something more, and we need to listen to them and give it back to them.
Well, like when I think about when I was in school, you never heard about workplace culture. You just didn't. In fact, I think my memory of that time in the 80s was, life is not a bed of roses, kid. It's tough out there. Just get a good job, keep your nose clean, and, get a gold watch after 40 years. But millennials, they do. I mean, they will leave in a heartbeat if they're not feeling it.
Yeah, that gold watch isn't quite there anymore. And what I find most interesting is to talk to employers, leaders, people that have been around for a while who weren't used to leading that way. And I used to think, man, these people, they could be real jerks the way they lead, and we don't like them very much. And then I came to realize after digging in and talking to them that they simply didn't know any different. They had big hearts. We all do. They're all sensitive. But what they did in this old style of leadership worked for them for many years and allowed them to grow in their careers. Well, that's not working anymore. So my suggestion to all leaders out there is to realize that the world has changed, that people are looking for more in the workplace, and that if we involve them, give them that autonomy, and create that fun in the workplace, show that we care about them, we are going to go back to those years of having long-term employees.
And part of workplace culture is choosing the right employees. And I know you had a very careful screening process. Why don't you describe that?
Yeah, in my business, we didn't make it easy to get in. But once you were in, we loved you a lot and made sure that you would stay. And so there's lots of different ways to do that. But we found that doing multi-level interviews and really having patience to not just take that first resume and hire, to look for a combination of skill and fit. And we say that it's about 60% fit, 40% skill. And what generally happens is when people are let go from a company, they're not let go for performance, they're let go for fit reasons. So we have to take that time up front to make sure that we have the right people. And you know what? We're never going to bat 1,000. And know that at some point we're going to make a mistake. Then the key is, do we have the courage to make that change? Because that person might thrive in another environment. We want to give them the opportunity to do that.
You even had, I may not be characterizing this right, but you had like a chief happiness officer, or her job was kind of to pay attention to who's having a baby and who's having a birthday.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Lara is was our queen of fun and laughter. That was her official title. And our receptionist was director and first impressions, right? So we can lighten up a little bit, not take everything so seriously. But Lara was really someone who owned the culture, had an ear to the ground, knew what was going on. And what you talked about was very important, and that was celebrating life events, whether it was a birth, a death, a sickness, someone ran the marathon, whatever it was. Let's celebrate or acknowledge those life events and show that we care about people in the totality of their lives. And when we do that, and those tough times that will come for any company, then they're going to fall on a sword for you.
And a lot of CEOs think that, boy, I'll just buy a ping pong table for the break room, and that's workplace culture. It's not that easy.
It's not that easy at all. It's not about the ping pong or the pool table or the foosball table. Fun is certainly important in the workplace, but we have to be very critical about those that don't buy into the culture and realize that we're here to make the world a better place. And sometimes that comes with making tough decisions. So caring about people, measuring what we can do to make things better for them, having those learning programs, all of those things go to culture, or ultimately the vibe that's created. But if you're not genuine about it, or you do something that's the flavor of the month, or you just get a keg on Friday, this is not going to last long term.
What's next for Paul Spiegelman? You're having a chance, I think, to enjoy a second childhood. You can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that's right. I've had the opportunity over the last 5 years after I sold my company to work for the public company that bought mine as chief culture officer, and try to scale this work in a public company setting with 25,000 employees in 18 countries. And it's been quite challenging, but I ultimately feel that the concepts are exactly the same. We all want to feel that warmth and caring in any workplace that we're in. So now I consider myself kind of just an evangelist, that I'd like to see people that are leading companies and leaders within companies learn these practices. And I'd say to anyone out there that's entering the workforce or in the workforce today that's not pleased with the environment they're in or may not love their boss, that you have a choice. And we all deserve to be fulfilled in our workplace. So have the courage to make a change if that's what you need to do.
And I know you're a much sought-after public speaker. The website again?
It's paulspiegelman.com.
Just like it sounds. Thank you so much. We'll have to have you back again soon. Thanks again, Paul.